boy.
Grand Rising. This is the Straight Talk Network. This is the Straight Talk Morning Show. My name is Andre Hill. I'm your host, and we have our co-host, chairman of our Council of Elders for our Aboriginal state, and our engineer, chairman, Terrence Lake. How you doing this morning, sir?
Grand Rising, everyone. I'm doing fine. A beautiful day here in the Motor City. Wearing my Hawaiian blue, representing the Lions, and looking forward to a great show today.
So, what time the Lions playing tomorrow? They're 1 o'clock show game.
I think so. I'm not sure. It's been a hectic week for me today, or this week, I should say, all week long, ripping and running like my head was cut off.
Who are they playing?
Well, I really can't even tell you that. I know that they're playing tomorrow. But who? It's like I say, this has been hectic, man. It's been so much going on, and so many people getting sick. With this flu weather, with this weather changing, and people I've graduated with. Like this senileness is really hitting this age. Boy, in the mid-70s, it's an epidemic, man.
Oh,
it's
man.
A scary situation. One sister, she told me that her doctor told her she had to stop driving, and she started crying because, how's she going to get around? Trying to depend on other people. We might have to talk about that one day.
Well, Chairman, I have some theories. Like you are very active. You can renovate a whole house. I mean, you're constantly, very sharp. And but I contribute that to the fact that you understand the truth. And when people have lived lives for so long, and then they start to realize that they've been living this lie for so long, they implode and they unravel. And I think, by you, you and I are both operating with understanding how the universe works. That has some kind of connection, connecting the dots in our brains to the truth and the reality, that we were able to overcome all the deceptions of these low frequency extraterrestrials that set up all these systems. And, I got a video I'm going to play probably the next show. All the systems are corrupted, and people have dedicated their lives to trying to succeed or be recognized in all of these fake delusional systems. And then when they come to realize that it was worthless and it was all for nothing, their mind implodes.
So true. So true. That's another show.
That's a whole nother show. Okay, so we got my engineer, my son, and co-host, and from the generation of the 80s. How you doing today, man?
I'm good. Peace and love, Straight Talk family. Peace and love.
So we're broadcasting strictly right now on YouTube because Facebook canceled our show. And I was telling the chairman, man, we must be doing something right. So we're gonna post this show and keep it rolling until they figure out what the problem is. So I'm gonna read the topic of what's going on today. This is what I post in my Facebook, and when my son get the time, I'm gonna post it on TikTok and all the rest of these media, so people can get with this message to understand the seriousness of our predicament in this history of time right now. But anyway, I posted, good afternoon, family. The spiritual war between good and evil is in the final stages. Facebook suspended our show, Straight Talk Network, for no justifiable reason. And the week before, last week, we couldn't broadcast because of the hurricane that hit Tampa. Now, there's a reason why that hurricane had a direct hit on Tampa, because I believe in karma. I believe when you manifest evil, when you're still continuing to lie, deceive, and hurt the common everyday man and woman, there are consequences and repercussions. But we're going to talk about that. I'm going to point out some things that's going on here in Florida, and you can clearly see how the negative karma is starting to check us here in the state of Florida. There were three particular topics that we've been discussing. So my thing was, okay, what's Facebook real reason for canceling our show, on our broadcast? And I went back over. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yeah, I went back over some of the shows that in the topics that we had, and I wrote some notes of things that may have tagged us to be for our show to be suspended. And so we're going to talk about that this morning as well. We have, this is also what I posted. So we've lost the last of our constitutional rights, our freedom of speech. So now if we speak out against atrocities on these social media platforms that are owned by or controlled by these 1%ers, they can just cut us off when they want to. So I think the citizens, I think we need to work seriously on getting a network of the people by the people. And where it's pure, where no one dictator or a small group of people can control, the masses being able to speak out. It's bad enough that all the big three networks, they're constantly misguiding us. But but social media was one of the free platforms where we can express ourselves. So now, if their influence has spilled over into these social media platforms, then we're just cattle. We're being used to generate income for them through the marketing, but we're not truly. We truly don't have the freedom to express the anguish, the trials and tribulations, the injustices that we're going through. And that's a serious problem. That's when you get into a dictatorship, fascism, and at that point, there's an old saying, give me liberty or give me death. So what's the point if you can't, complain about the people that you're hiring to serve you? So these government employees or officials or politicians are our employees. They work for us. But when they are influenced by a mentally deranged, psychotic, small 1% group, then that's a problem. Then we're just mere slaves. And at this point in my life, I don't know about you, Chairman. Don't you think change needs to happen?
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you're talking about taking our freedom away. We've been trying to establish that most of our lives, 70-something years. And now that we've got a taste of it, there's no turning back, no way we're going to go back. And when you mentioned earlier about the final battle between good and evil, that's that evilness trying to stop what's good that's going to happen. And it's going to happen sooner than what they think, because there's no reason why we shouldn't be in a heavenly state today with all the technology and the intelligence that we have and knowing, right from wrong. We've got to make that change happen. The sooner, the better. A lot of these wars that's been, falsely thrown at us, it's crazy. And we got to stop it. We got to raise our voices and continue to push forward to bring on this change because it's good for all of us. Might not be good for that small few that's feel they got the control and they can do the way they want, but right is right and wrong is wrong.
So, Chairman, I'm gonna ask my son. What you had to communicate with Facebook? Uh, Explain to me what the transmission was, and also how do your generation feel about this? You know, I always apologize on behalf of our generation for allowing us to be in this predicament. But how do your generation see this?
So first, what did Facebook say to us? Interestingly, they said there have been some complaints on your Facebook page, your Facebook Straight Talk Network page. And the complaints, based on the statements that you made, are serious enough to permanently suspend your page. Right? Now, but did not go into any great detail on exactly what they were complaining about. Right? Didn't go into any detail on that. So, as I told y'all earlier, you got an option to amend it, in which I did. And, you know, my question to them was, well,
you mean appeal it?
Appeal it, I'm sorry, yeah, appeal, right, I'm sorry. My question was, well, what were the violations exactly? We don't know what we said, even if we said to ourselves, all right, well, we can fix that. We just won't mention that no more. We don't even know what that is, right? But you know, we have a good idea of what it was. You know, I think on the last show, we're mentioning this this fake war that they have going on, and as a matter of fact, with that being said, side note, to prevent that, mitigate that, speaking of my generation, we have cracked the code on how to get around certain keywords. so these two particular platforms don't flag your page. So when we talk about, let's say, you know, the Middle East and what do we call this? The new Canaanite land. You gotta get what I'm saying. We may have to do this because YouTube may do the same thing. They more notorious for than Facebook is. Just for shutting down your page based on what you say. Very, very particular words you can't say. Right? Because they have AI listening to it. They don't have humans listening to it. They have AI listening to it. And they can pick it up. And you know, when those keywords are said, then it gets sent up the chain, and then they review it. And oh yeah, you can't. We ain't gonna let you talk about that. So that's how that works. So let's say for the interest of this show, or for the safety of this show, we can call that area over there New Canaan, something like that. Okay, don't tell them, because if we mention it, you know, the same way it reads captions, you know, the same way, you know, it can caption what we're saying. It's listening to everything that we say, logging it, finding keywords, and sending it up the chain for review. Now, as far as my generation, how we feeling about it? In this case, we don't feel like this one is your fault. We feel like this restriction on freedom of speech is inevitable. It's inevitable. You know, looking at the whole situation in New Canaan, you know, the war that's been going on over there happened before even y'all were born, right? So it's actually a 2,000-year-old war. It's a 2,000-year-old war, and it's an in-house war, and we just so happen to be involved in it.
That's right.
But it's also probably one of the most spiritual psyops wars ever created. It is mostly a war of perceptions and lies and deceits. And the psyop is getting everyone in the world involved in that whole charade. But what our question is, what is it that makes that situation so significant? What makes that war in New Canaan so significant? That's why I'm gonna lead us to the book. We broke all that down in Lucifer's Revenge. We explained every single bit of it and Lucifer's Revenge. And also too, Chairman's book as well. And God's Child, we elaborate on the Straight Talk family, we elaborate on everything that needs to be known regarding that situation over there. But landing this plane, my generation, we understand, a good amount of us understand exactly why the freedom of speech is being, steadily eroded, because the human mind is, they understand, those parasitic ETs understand one thing: you control the mind of the humans, then we pretty much control the reality of this planet. And they need that desperately for their continued existence. We understand that. So we're not faulting anybody, that one in particular, on anybody, but that's where we at with it.
So, well, let me ask you this question. Our generation, I always complain about we kind of dropped the ball for your generation. But like, a lot of people in your generation are techies, Why don't you all petition your collective to build your own social network? You guys know what hardware is required. You understand, a lot of you know how to code. You all probably wrote the codes for Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Yeah. And so what has happened, even in the case of TikTok, these 1%ers, when they realized that they didn't have control of TikTok, then they threatened to ban TikTok from the United States.
Absolutely.
And that was extortion. That's saying either you give us control, access to your TikTok, so we can keep our constituents or our population ignorant, or we're gonna shut you down.
Mm-hmm.
So has your group thought about, well, we need to get our own broadcast and get our own social media?
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about it all the time. It's just a matter of practicality. It's a matter of practicality. The truth is this: when it comes to, let's say, Facebook, YouTube, any of the most popular platforms, the ability to create one is there. On a technical level, the challenge is, let's say, storage capacity and bandwidth capacity. You feel what I'm saying? Let's take Facebook. They have the money, or access to the money, to be able to host a platform that has millions or even billions of interactions and videos and uploads, all kinds of things on their platform. You need a lot of digital capacity for that, to put that pretty simple, right? And truth is, the average truth teller ain't got that kind of capital by design.
So let me interject here. So a lot of the Caucasian kids who have benefited from the robbery and thievery of our land and resources and our labor, a lot of them don't want to be a part of this racist, mentally deranged agenda. So why don't, I mean, you guys are able to communicate with each other, because now when I look at some of these videos, I can't tell the difference. If I was blind and listening to your generation talk, I couldn't tell the difference between whether you're Caucasian or Aboriginal or either Asian, because you all sound alike, so you evidently you start to communicate together. So, I mean, if you can petition the Asians and the Caucasians that are inheriting money that was stolen from your ancestors and say to them, hey, man, we need to make, I see little children petitioning the different governments about, y'all messing up this environment for our generation. We're going to have a horrible planet to live on. So these little young people, they get it. So it ain't all about profit all the time. How much money we going to make? It's got to be about for the salvation of your planet, So, I mean, I think your generation need to put together a committee and with the Caucasian kids and Asian kids who have benefited from the thievery of your ancestors' resources, and explain to them, hey, if we're going to break the generational curses in all these different cultures, we're going to have to come together and let's start out, because the number one issue is the truth. The truth will set you free. And so why don't we start, petitioning the different governments? They got your resources tied up too, and your technology, and petition them to say, well, we want our own free social media and internet. That's a thought.
Yeah, good thought, because, as we speak, it is actually happening. Because like you say, the younger generation are communicating with each other, and they realize a lot of the wrongs that have been throughout history. Even with my German friends, how they were embarrassed whenever you mentioned anything about World War I or II, because Germans started both,
Yeah.
and so they want to make things right, and I see it in this younger generation, but we were endowed with this spirit that created the whole universe. It's in us, and it was created in us so we could have all this goodness, these good things that happen. And that potential is so great. There are more things on the verge of happening, but the older generation, our generation, I should say, still trying to control people and allow certain things to happen at a certain time. Oh, you're not ready for this. You're not ready for that. The young people have been ready. It's up to us to release this and give them the opportunity. They can't continue to try to control us and say, okay, well, no, it's not time. It's always time for good,
Chairman, I know if a group of young people came to me and said, we're tired of this, we see where this is going, and we want to raise money to put together our own network free of these mentally deranged 1%ers. I put up my $5. I put up 20.
Me too.
If they put together a honest structure with a board, where they rotate and give other young folks the opportunity, to participate in this medium, and it ain't about greed or egos. It's about you either gonna live in a planet of euphoria based on balance, or you're gonna live in a crap hole, or a control mechanism of slavery, and this goes all the way back to the supreme extraterrestrials. They allowed these low frequency entities to come here and test you. If you demonstrate that you're not going to go along with that, then they will give you the power to override these ignorant low frequency extraterrestrials and the humans that are greedy, pedophiles, rapists, and all that. They'll give you power over them. So if any of you young folks out there listening, and y'all want to organize this, I have experience. The chairman has experience. We can give you all the diagram of how to do this, but you have to demonstrate that you're interested in doing this. Because as long as you got these little mentally deranged leaders running Facebook, Twitter, and you see what they're doing with TikTok, they're threatening them, you're not going to be free, and it's going to get worse. Because the guardians of the Most High is allowing these low frequency entities to test you, to force you to come together. It's a test. Yeah. Don't take it that serious. And any of all these old people from my generation, we and the chairman was just talking about it. They're starting to get mentally delusional. You know, the karma is already starting to work on them. But anyway, it's a thought. We need to work on that seriously. And anybody, if y'all need help and direction, you know, I'm a channeler. I'll channel that knowledge and tell you how to do this. But it ain't gonna work if you keep allowing these mentally deranged 1%ers to control your destiny. They're gonna make it worse. All right, so I'm gonna get keeping it moving here. So part of the other post what I stated was that also in our book Lucifer's Revenge, we have completely broken the code to human enslavement on planet Earth. Be sure to tune in live tomorrow morning. Things about to heat up. We will reveal the truth behind the upcoming World War III campaign. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Since we got kicked off of Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and any revenue, anything that we derive out of your membership, what have you, it goes into is going into a checking account that's going to be overseen by council of elders to benefit you, young people. You know, so get involved. Me and the chairman, we ain't trying to bust a grape anymore. We want to see things change. So subscribe to the channel if that helps us. I'm not sure how all that works. My son does, he knows, but you know, demonstrate to Facebook they made a mistake when they shut down our page. Demonstrate to them. Yeah, show them. You know, we're gonna make a difference. All right, so hey man, can you bring that video up? Set that one up. So we're gonna talk about the spiritual war between good and evil and how it's starting to heat up. And this also ties into one of the topics of, you know, and this is a young man. He's part of a generation that wants to make a difference. Go ahead and shoot it, man.
One of those gets deployed, and then it could escalate very quickly from there. So it's rarely discussed, but it's important to address that the nuclear risk is real, and it could very abruptly mean the end of, you know, what humans have worked for thousands of years to collectively achieve. And us today are very lucky to live with the fruits of that achievement, and I feel like we're treating the risks kind of brazenly. So my question for you is, you know, we often hear in response to these concerns that, well, Putin, Khomeini, you know, they're war criminals, they're terrorists, as if they're too inherently evil or immoral for us to negotiate with. But meanwhile, this administration has financed a genocide in Gaza for the last year, and every day you're up there denying accountability for it. So, I mean, what gives you the right to lecture other countries on their moral?
So, if you have a policy question for me, I'm happy to take it. If you want to give a speech,
no, but
there are plenty of places in Washington where you can give a speech.
Yeah, but people are sick of the bullshit in here. I mean, like, it is a genocide. You are abetting it, and you are risking nuclear war in Ukraine for this proxy. Israel is still poised to strike Iran, and in July, Blinken said that Iran was 1 to 2 weeks away from developing a nuclear weapon. So I guess for all we know, they might have one by now. And meanwhile, in Ukraine, they've struck deep within Russian territory several times, as deep as 300 miles from the border. And in that case, we don't have to guess. We know that Russia has the largest nuclear arsenal on the planet, as many as 6,000 warheads. And so one of the risks of arming militaries that are striking in the territories of nuclear powers is that one of those gets deployed, and then it could escalate very quickly from there. So it's rarely discussed, but it's important to address that the nuclear risk is real, and it could very abruptly mean the end of, you know, what humans have worked for thousands of years to collectively achieve. And us today are very lucky to live with the fruits of that achievement, and I feel like we're treating the risks kind of brazenly. So my question for you is, we often hear in response to these concerns that, well, Putin, Khomeini, they're war criminals, they're terrorists, as if they're too inherently evil or immoral for us to negotiate with. But meanwhile, this administration has financed a genocide in Gaza for the last year, and every day you're up there denying accountability for it. So, I mean, what gives you the right to lecture other countries on their moral?
So, if you have a policy question for me, I'm happy to take it. If you want to give a speech,
no, but
there are plenty of places in Washington where you can give a speech.
Yeah, but people are sick of the bullshit in here. I mean, it is a genocide. You are abetting it, and you are risking nuclear war.
All right. So that's what I'm talking about. You hear what I'm saying, Chairman?
Oh, absolutely.
Most likely from my son's generation. They're tired of the BS.
That's right. For sure. Okay. We are too.
Yeah. And so this guy, he deflected his question. Well, you want to make a speech, go somewhere. Yeah, okay. So so what he was talking about is that what's going on. So I contribute this to the war between good and evil. That's what we are.
It is.
We're here. It's no longer facade, paper mache. This is real. We got a group of humans that are so caught up in money and power, they're willing to destroy the planet, than to relent and say, look, we need to stop this. We need to stop arming those mentally deranged fools over there in the Middle East. How are you going to justify it? You're going to continue to send bullets and planes and now troops to fight a war based on a biblical reference that the fighters don't even believe in? All right. And now they got there's rumors, and I'm not gonna say rumors, but they showed pictures of this sadistic person in this military with these mentally deranged leaders that was shooting children in the head, and they showed the x-rays of the bullets penetrating. They tried to discredit it, but it sounds horrendous. And so I know there are different cultures that believe this is the only life, this is one life that they're gonna get, and that's it, and then I'm gone, I'm out of here. But that's a lie.
Big lie.
Yeah. If you shoot a child before that child has chance to make their own decisions, some of those children over there they might not be Muslim. They might wake up one day and say, I think this sounds good to me. And change. If you interrupt their spiritual evolution because of your selfishness, if you want some land, and oh my goodness, the consequences are horrendous. Chairman, you've been keeping up with what's going on over here with how we on the brink of World War III?
Not really, but that potential is there, especially in Ukraine and Russia, because Putin is threatening nuclear war. Okay, so the United States are back in Ukraine. If one start, then they're both going to be exchanging this, and it's enough power to destroy this whole planet. I know our extraterrestrial cousins don't want this to happen, but the potential is there. And that's why we got to bring society together, because it's for the benefit of us all. And this craziness that's going on with Putin, come on now, this man is demonic, and he's demonic because he's doing devilish things. He's got to be stopped. He's threatening. It's like a kid with a gun in his hand. He don't really know what he's doing, and he's threatening. If you come over here, I'm going to shoot you. We don't need that type of nonsense. We don't need nuclear weapons, nuclear energy to, advance our society as a whole, but not weapons. That's got to be stopped. It's got to be stopped immediately. And I hope when we get our new president in there, that she has, the power to make these changes for the benefit of us all. It's got to happen.
Well, one of my concerns, what this young man said, that even in the case of Putin, we are allowing some genocide, and we don't have the luxury of lecturing any one of these other leaders because of the horrible things that we've done. I do know that based on Putin's spiritual alignment, if you sit down with him and offer a sensible resolution, I think he will adjust to it. Now, what the United States government is, well, these entities that's manipulating our United States government, there is a very evil force that's operating behind the United States government right now.
Yes.
And that evil force is a program that is going through a progression of tactics for an end game. And the end game is I must maintain control. Also the end game, based on our book, Lucifer's Revenge, is that I must replace all the original humans on this planet with a phenotype or human that's beholding to it, or Lucifer. In the case of, that's why we call it Lucifer's Revenge. And so what we're dealing with is that this entity, and I've mentioned on other shows that particular soul may have been removed far many years away from this. The program is operating on its own merit right now. And only we have the power to shut it down. We have the power to shut it down through a common denominator of unconditional love. And that will activate the guardians of the Most High to shut the program down. Now, a lot of humans, it's particularly here in the United States, they worship the Lucifer concept. They worship it in the professional sports arena, in the entertainment arena. They even have a holiday where they worship Lucifer, around October the 31st, and so, that is promoted by this program because it keeps people that are disdain with the system, or have these mental illnesses, or generational curses of pedophilia, murdering children, eating children, all these sick things, trafficking, these sexual fantasies, the program keeps them engaged. So that's why they go and worship, that's why they go and submit to these different programs. So, I think the humans, and go out and get you a copy. We put the link in our page. Get you a copy of lucifersrevenge.net. Go to that and order your copy of the book. And it realigns your mental, in terms of understanding how all this came about, how the guardians of the Most High, the guardians of the Most Low, how all of this works. And that elevates your frequency to say, okay, this is a simple fix. I got to stop being selfish. As Michael Jackson said, the man in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, we're going to bounce back and forth with this war that is right at us right now. And how do we diffuse it? We're going to be dealing with that for quite some time. So let's talk about Tampa now and Florida. Okay, so we got a Lucifer running the top office here. And, you know, I think he had some issues when he was in high school, and and he's getting payback right now. And he's attracting low frequency humans that needs white supremacy in order to live. And so, but anyway, Tampa took a direct hit, and I'm in the downtown area of Tampa, and I wasn't worried about a thing. As a matter of fact, you know, at first my lights didn't flicker at all. But then I went to sleep, woke up, you know, the wind got a little strong. I have stuff on my porch, didn't even move that around, you know. And when I woke up, my lights were off. And I said, okay. So, you know, I was bragging about last time, my lights didn't even flicker. So they said, well, we're going to fix your ass this time. So they cut my lights off. And they left the lights off for 6 days, I think. I think, Junior, well, how many days did they leave our lights off?
Yes, about 6.
About 6 days, you know. So I'm like, okay, so y'all want to test me? I done lived in the room before. But Tampa has missed direct hits for quite some time. But here's what's going on in Tampa. There is a social construct that's not in sync with nature, that has been moved in position to run this town and influence it and set the tone, and you know, like they're a mafia as to how we're going to do this. They've also brought in some white supremacists from South Africa. You know, they're bringing some people in, and they're doing some horrible things here. You know, the Hillsborough County, which is the county that Tampa is in, had a $10 million budget for affordable housing. Well, this European Caucasian decided that's too much money. $10 million ain't too much money, but they reduced it from $10 million to $2 million. Now, for an entire county of this size, first of all, $10 million ain't no money to help get people off the street. You know, to move it down to $2 million, that's maybe 1.5 projects. You know, and all these politicians went along with it. You know, and they said, we ought to be happy we got the 2 million. You know, so in addition to that, the governor on October the 1st, they signed off on a bill to make it illegal for people to sleep on the streets, in the parks, at the beaches, you know, and it says it's one of the strictest anti-homeless measures in the entire nation. You know, so now if you get put out of your house and you don't have anywhere to go stay, and you decide to go find your park, you know, somewhere to go lay your head until you can regroup, they can come and arrest you. That's here in the state of Florida. All right. There was a measure passed in the city of Tampa. It's called the 568 bill. All right. So this bill admitted, the city council passed it. It was an acknowledgement that we've been racist. You know, we've had racist policies. And so some of the local leaders, what have you, they rejoice. Yeah, finally, yeah, it's called the 568 resolution right here in the city of Tampa. And they've gone down and you know, asked to set up a committee to do research on the past racist policies. All right, so they passed the resolution, but the people still going down saying, well, okay, what you gonna do about it? Well, you wanted us to acknowledge it, so yeah, we've been racist. So what do you want us to do? You know, and so all of these things are creating an environment. It was already gentrification, which is happening all over the world right now. And this gentrification is basically forcing people to work 2 or 3 jobs in order to survive. So all of these things were occurring, and what you do, you get a direct hit for the first time in quite a few years. I remember when I was here back in the 50s and the 60s, there was one Hurricane Donna that was, I think it was a direct hit. But it's all, people have to understand the powers of the universe, that even if primitive man here can develop a system of seeding the clouds or the so-called HARP system, what do you think that these advanced extraterrestrials can go in creating weather patterns to send you a message that you're headed in the wrong direction of humanity, And so we are experiencing this all over the planet. We are experiencing, and this is all part of the war between good and evil. I saw even in Europe, I think it was Spain, where this Caucasian woman was complaining about housing. So this is a worldwide demonic agenda to force the entire population into a state of mind of conflict. So, Chairman, in the Detroit area, what kind of flavor are you getting there with housing?
Well, I don't see as many homeless people on the streets as I did going back maybe 10 years ago. They are getting public housing, and they got other, monies set aside for people to get in these temporary shelters until they can do better. So it's gradually getting better, but yeah, it's a problem all around the nation. But I do see some progress here in Detroit, and they got places that people can rent, and the government will pay the rent, or you can get a person in one of your houses if you're renting it, and the money will come straight from the government, and you don't have to worry about getting it from that homeless person because they don't have the money anyway. So, things are getting better. You can't make them so relaxed that, they lay back and don't want to do nothing at all. I think you could provide jobs for them, get them to clean up around the city or even in the neighborhood that they're staying in. But you got to provide them with something. Every bird has a nest. And if God could do that for the birds and the animals, God can do that for us. And we are God's children. So there's no excuse for people to live on the streets.
So is this agenda driven by the politicians or the people?
I think the people, different coalitions of groups, neighborhoods, coming together and speaking with, government, saying that let's build this neighborhood up. Let's put some money over here where we can get the people. And sometimes with some of these public houses are so old, they're demolishing them and building up new ones for the lower income people too. I see a lot of that happening, which is a good thing.
All right, so Chairman, this is the code that we've been talking about. This is the part where it gets hairy. I believe personally that the low frequency entities that's shaking up the planet right now with the hamster wheel for survival. In order for you to live, you're going to be so busy working 2 or 3 jobs, where you don't have time to rebel because you're trying to eat and keep your butt covered, and then to drive a car, the mandatory insurance and that sort of thing. So, we've talked about that there's a race of beings, and a lot of people use the terminology of reptilians. And I even joined the group Proof of the Reptilians, on Facebook, and I send them notices whenever we do shows. Is this this low frequency entity, does it appear to be non-human in terms of, the war that is being stimulated, what's going on in the northern African areas? This is worse than gentrification. It's specifically called genocide. But I mean, do you see that this is that there's a secret agenda by these reptilians? I mean, do they want? Are they forcing this conflict among humans so they can create bodies for food? What do you think is going on here?
I kind of believe that it's just different groups of people, low frequency people that, they can have a lot of money, but they want to control people and keep people depressed. That way, they won't have to worry about them interfering with their agenda, and it's savage to me the way you want to hold people down and not give them opportunities, but they are low frequencies. And they are the people that, throw roadblocks in other people's way when they see you trying to advance, and you want to go and you want to put people down, but what are you doing to help them? And I feel sorry for poor people that, are so, I'd say, Trump supporters that feel Trump's got all this money. They think Trump's going to help them. To me, Trump is one of those low entity beings that try to hold people down so he can stay on top. Like the old saying go, I want to stand on top of you so I'll be above you and you're below me. I don't believe in that. I feel give everybody opportunity and let the best be on top, but try to give people a hand up and get everybody on that level. That's the way it was meant to be. Like I said earlier, every bird has a nest. That's the type of mentality we have to make things right, and there'll always be some that's going to have more than others, but it won't be people that don't have nothing, that are downtrodden, that just suffer and are poor for their whole existence here in this universe. That shouldn't happen. And I don't think it's going to continue to happen long. Not if I got anything to do with it.
So in breaking the code to this problem, when we look at the various religious constructs, well, let's go pray about this. I watched the movie The Forge, and I was a little disturbed how they pushed the Christianity part that that we explained in our book Lucifer's Revenge, how the European Christianity came about. I think part of the humans that are required to come together, and how do they move in the direction of making contact with these advanced beings to get them to intervene on our behalf? And I think that's where we are right now. And that was part of why we wrote the book, Lucifer's Revenge. My recommendation to Aboriginal people, if you have melanin in your skin, you're Aboriginal. And Aboriginal people, there's an old saying, first shall be last and last shall be first. So Aboriginals have been at the end of the line. So it's time for you to come to the front of the line, but you're going to have to develop a pure alliance. And also, there are Caucasian people that gets it too, that, understand that you need to be at the front of the line. They understand the atrocities of their ancestors, and they want to encourage you. But if you're still fighting among yourselves and wondering about, well, who's going to get paid the most, and if I got a degree, I need to be at the top of the list, all of that. If you're still dealing with all that madness, none of these social groups are going to respect you. And so what we did in Lucifer's Revenge, as we broke the code, it explains the steps that you need to take in reversing the damage on this planet. Now, what we're advising Aboriginal people, whatever land you're in, whether you're in Africa, China, or Asia, or whatever the case might be, it's these systems that were put in place was put in place by the low frequency extraterrestrials that wanted to enslave you. And they're not designed for you to work. I ran across a video, lady was saying, these systems are, people saying the systems are broke. They're not broke. They were designed to not work, you know. And you got to stop looking at them that way. They're doing exactly what they were designed to do, fail, cause you to fail. And so, you know, you got to get out of this state of mind of, I'm gonna join this group, you know, with this pink color and this red color, and that might give me some advantages, you know, or status or credentials, make me better than other humans, you know, and that's the divisive measure that has kept us from coming together as a collective and rebuking or forcing out these mentally deranged few. So we basically basically advising the Aboriginals and all the other groups. You need to recognize that the Aboriginals have been stomped on, and that program that was put in place, it was designed to emasculate the Aboriginal male and separate the Aboriginal females into independent contractors, where they're no longer supporting their communities, they're supporting their selfish agendas of prestige and a failing system. And so that's what the book, go out, go to luciferrevenge.net. You can get the book off of Amazon. You can get the ebook, or you can get a hard copy. And it gives you a description of what we need to do as a species. You know, it's not putting the Black people in a dictatorship position to pay back all the other cultures that sold out. It's putting us in a position of responsibility to make that change. So, you know, we're going to be changing our format here. You know, on this show, we're going to be headed in the direction of enforcing or implementing that strategy on, if you're Aboriginal, whether you're in the Americas, South America, and you've been beat down for the last 400 or 500 years, we know why, we know who, and we know what to do to get you out of it and how to organize, and we're providing support. You know, you know, you can call us up, make contact with us, and we'll show you, you know, what steps to take to regain your humanity, you know. But all the other cultures that bought into white supremacy, you need to get behind the Aboriginals, because the Supreme Being made the Aboriginals in their image in the beginning. So if you are downgraded into a recessive gene or phenotype, it's because you lost the privilege. You know, I make mistakes, you know, but I came conscious of, I got to do something different to, you know, because in the next life, I want to come back as a Mandingo superhuman melanated man, you know, and you do that by how you treat people. So, Chairman, you got some closing words on this thing?
Well, you made a statement earlier, not too long ago. You say the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Well, you know, the Caucasian was the last group to come to planet Earth, but it looks like they're going to be the first to leave. And they've got plans set up to almost create that heavenly environment out in space on other planets. I mean, if you see some of the architectural drawings, you'd be amazed. It's beautiful, you know. And what makes me happy is it's not like the days of Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon where you didn't see any brothers around. You know, they've got us included, you know. But I think their biggest worry is thinking that we're going to take over because of our genetics. And we don't want to take over. We just want to make things right, you know, and let the cards fall as they play, you know. That's my saying, my last words for this program.
With Chairman, I ran across, I'm going to do this real quick. I ran across a story about Close Encounters of the Third Kind. They say that was based on true events, right?
Yeah.
And there was an exchange program where they sent so many Americans to this other planet that, you know, from where the visitors came from. And they did the follow-up. All of those people that went to that planet, they either didn't come back or they died when they came back from some sort of radiation exposure, you know. So it took hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of years for the bodies that you're in to adjust to your environment here on this planet. So I know you're talking about going to another planet, but before you do that, you need to think about, do you have the natural vaccines, antibodies to protect you against an environment that you don't know about, that you didn't spend your ancestors didn't spend the last million years on. So before you try to go out into space, you need to fix this planet.
Well, yes, because we've contaminated it. But another planet could be nice and fresh and have that Garden of Eden just waiting for us. We can't always believe what they're telling us about how some other planet might be. We were told at one time that the universe was only 4 billion years old. Now they're saying it's 13.5 billion. Now that number is just extravagant. You know, you can't even try to put a number on it, but you can't always believe what they tell you.
Absolutely. Hey, well, we're gonna have to turn this over to our engineer. He's been quiet lately, listening to the old heads bring out some knowledge and truth. Hey, man, what's your thoughts on all of this?
I think it was a good show. Hey, man, I was about to wrap it up, man. I don't want to get them too hyped and go into another dissertation. Just like you said, y'all gave some good information. I enjoyed it. And since we're on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, so just go down in the link in the description. You know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe button, and support us here, because you know they're trying to keep the truth down or limit it to one platform. But you know, we don't stop. We don't give up. So y'all gonna have to follow us over here, and we appreciate y'all. So I'm gonna land it here. This has been a Straight Talk Network show. We love y'all. Peace out. We'll see you next week.
Tampa, stop being evil.